Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Defender. So glad we're with you guys. Glad you're back with us. Got another exciting video for you, this time on a CZ, and there's some really cool things and interesting stuff to talk about. There's a little buzz about this gun on a number of different levels. So we really want to get into that. A couple housekeeping or admin type things. People were asking or a thing that I should state if we're going to shoot the pistol or not on the review. Daily Defender currently does not have any kind of range available to us, here at this facility, and the local range does not allow videotaping. So until further notice, no, the Daily Defender will always have more of a static display or static review. The other comment was that, yes, I do say a lot. That's just the way I talk and how I start and stop things. So let's just get that out of the way. But today, let's get on to a more fun topic, which is this brand new, I guess a 2.0 at least. I'm not a huge CZ aficionado, although I do like the pistols. And so again, wanted to talk about them today. But again, this is I'm just going to call it the new P09 C for Compact, and very, very good looking pistol. The actual name that they refer to as the Nocturne, which I thought was kind of interesting. At first, I really thought they should have gone with Neptune or Nocturnal or something, I don't know, a little cooler. But then I actually did the definition on Nocturne, and it turns out that, and there's a couple different ways, or a couple different definitions that played into it, but it was the one I thought was the coolest and seemed to fit the pistol was a work of art dealing with evening or night. So I thought that was pretty cool, actually, once I got the definition of their kind of branding or their pistol name for this new CZ P09 Compact. And so yeah, that's just kind of cool. Again, the name I thought was kind of interesting, but really kind of wanted to get into this today. I have been always interested in CZ pistols. I've owned a number of them over the years, shot different ones. My video is out there on a couple CZs that I've had, but had always struggled a little bit with some of their features, and we'll get into that on the deep dive. I think the other thing I want to point out early on in this video too is I'm not planning on running this particular firearm with any kind of red dot or optic. So we'll talk a little bit about the fact that it's optic capable, but I'm not going to talk about optics, and you won't see an optic on the pistol. So, but still, tons of great stuff to talk about with this firearm. A lot of good stuff that CZ did, although there seems to be a little bit of a shadow over it right now. And I've experienced that as well with my range time. And so we'll get in and talk about that. So let's go right to the deep dive on this CZ P09C. All right, so we want to get into a deep dive on this CZ P09C, but I have to admit, first of all, I have to apologize. I didn't give a warm welcome to everybody back to the channel. So all of our current subscribers, a very warm welcome. Glad to have everybody back. Glad you're with us again. To all of our new viewers, welcome. If you like what you're seeing and it's helpful and informative, hit the like button. Please subscribe. And of course, as you guys know, I love the comments. So please keep the comments coming and all that kind of good stuff. So just great to have everybody back. But into our deep dive on our CZ P09C. And there's a lot to unpack here. The product update, how it shot, and then we've got a little bit of buzz going on right now, including my own experience on some hang-ups, some teething problems, failure to feed in my case, and from the other things I've seen. So we'll get into that. But let's just quickly kind of talk through our pistol. CZ P09C, the Nocturne. These are the latest firearms that CZ is putting out in this platform. There's a full size as well, so there's an F, and it's obviously longer and taller as a full size firearm. And again, as I stated in the intro, I'm not a CZ expert, or historian or anything like that. I know people have spent decades with CZ and have multiple firearms and all of that. My experience has been around the 07 and the Rammy and some other things. And I really did enjoy the P07. I really did. But there were a couple things that always just bothered me, irritated me, whatever the right word is, nuances for me. And so I'm really glad to see what they've done here with this CZ P09. Before I forget, let's just do the specs, because sometimes I tend to glance over that. Again, it is a DA, double action, single action firearm. This is a clear and safe firearm, so we've got that. And it's a 9mm cartridge. It's 26 ounces in weight, so it's right there with an HK USP Compact. I didn't weigh it against like a G19 or double check that, but a lot of things are similar with the Glock 19 on this, and I'll probably talk about that as the video goes on. Its length is 7.3, it's 5.4 in height, and it's 1.5 in width. It is a fairly thin firearm. They've done a very nice job, especially here on the frame and the grip, keeping the width down. And we'll talk a little bit about these controls and so forth, but that's kind of our specs. And it really is, from what I can see, it's really geared towards that compact 9mm buyer, whether that's a G19 perhaps customer, or a USP customer, that kind of thing, M&P. It's all geared toward that. Even the price point, not an HK USP. In fact, it's half the price of an HK USP, which is pretty amazing. But right there with a brand new Glock 19. So let's do the traditional walk around. I think it starts with just already this very nice beveling that they have up here on the front, not only on the slide, but the frame itself. Really, you get into kind of the meat and potatoes of what they've done with this. First, let's just get this. They've done just a super nice job on the machining and these serrations on the front of the slide. So if you're looking to do a press check or some kind of front slide manipulation, it's great to have that. I think they did a great job there. One of my hang-ups with the CZs was always the thinner slide. I totally get the engineering and concept behind it, but for me, when I was looking to do, a tap and rack or some kind of over-the-slide manipulation, I always struggled finding grip up here, probably because I was always used to grabbing 229s and HKs and all this meat up here. And when I got to a CZ, I had a little trouble with it. But I think what's happened here, I don't think they've widened this, but I think they have had to make this a little blockier to do the optics cut. And then they've also added these great serrations on both sides of the rear. So in my opinion, they cured an ill that I had, personal ill that I had with this, and this is great. I have no issues with this whatsoever. Grab that all day long, absolutely perfect. As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not going to, at least at this point, put an optic on it. Maybe as I get a little older, my eyes age, or maybe I'll decide that one of my pistols should have an optic. My understanding, it's cut for the micros, so obviously if you're looking for more information on that, look for videos and information, and maybe even from CZ on exactly what optics will fit this, but I do know it's cut for micro optics. And on this side, of course, everything's the same. You do have serial number matching slide, barrel, and frame. So nicely done there. Sights are metal, and they've also done away, probably because they needed to co-witness with the optic, but it works for me. They've done away with the Novak style slant, which I never really cared for because you can't do a one-hand manipulation with it. And these are metal, so very, very well done. It's a 3-dot. They are not night sights, but they are luminescent. And I will say, once you hit these with a flashlight for 1 or 2 seconds, they glow extremely bright and not bad if you've kept them out in just ambient light or sunlight all day kind of thing. They do a pretty nice job there. So nice job with the sights. Skeletonized hammer, metal, full size, serrated, everything you'd expect there on the hammer with a military or duty type gun, which is kind of how CZ positions themselves, right? At least my experience in the firearms that I'm interested in them. I know certainly the Czech Republic uses these firearms for their military and police. I don't know how many contracts CZ really has outside of that. We don't see them in holsters here much, if at all, in the States, but probably some of our CZ aficionados, guys and girls, can comment on that. Coming down onto the frame, it just done some really nice things here. This is one of these, of course, the latest and greatest polymer. It is thermal resistant, as I understand. It looks very stout, very well made, nice matte color. Just really nice on the polymer, in my opinion. Stamped, of course, Czech Republic, where it's made. They've started off here with this nice skateboard stippling up here on both sides of the frame. So two-handed shooter, thumbs forward kind of thing, falls right into place. The other thing they did is they streamlined the controls, your slide, stop, slide, lock, and your decocker. Again, we said this is a double action, single action. So once you rack the firearm, decock it there. I think maybe if I had one little nitpick on this, I think maybe they took that a little too far. These are really streamlined. I could have used just a little bit more depth on that decocker, but nicely done, nice update. Coming down onto the rest of the frame, pick rail for a light. You've got a squared off trigger guard, obviously thinking about gloved hands. Really nice undercut. Pronounced or large mag release, so they did a really nice job there. And then onto the stippling. They have a few lines, by the way, up front here on the trigger guard. But then they did a really nice job again with this same stippling skateboard type material, which I think is becoming very popular. Probably just the right amount, not too much, not too little. It goes all the way around the grip. Really nicely done. And then the other thing they did with the new P09 is they added back straps, which is great. This one came with the small. There's a medium and a large. I just kind of assumed the medium would be on here, but it turned out to be the small. And when I first gripped this pistol, it just melted into my hand. Now, you guys know I have a small to medium size hand, so this just worked, but you could easily change these. So I was trying to get into, there were three major things that really just set this pistol off for me. The adjustment and these serrations to the slide, the great job they did with the grip, and I'll come back to the trigger here in a minute, but they just did a really nice job here with the back strap. Beaver tail, not too much, not overly pronounced and hooked, not trimmed down. Again, it just works really, really well for getting onto this pistol. Extremely comfortable, great ergonomics in my opinion, did a great job. Comes with two 15-round magazines, metal mags, red follower, orange, and then this polymer base plate. But look what they did here. They did another very nice thing, little design touch, right? They dimpled it, but then they added that stippling down here to these base plates. What a great idea. And, obviously there is no trouble getting them in and out. But if you did have trouble and had to, get on that, not only do you have the dimpling, but you've got something really, really rough to hold on to. Just a great job. Two 15-round mags, assuming you're in a high capacity state. Metal mags, nicely done. And of course, really just a large, oversized, I wouldn't call it, beveled or anything like that, but just this large open, no problem getting mags in there as we just saw. And then they still have a lanyard loop here, which again harks back to their contracts and all that. Onto the trigger. There was a video early on about this trigger that somebody didn't like it, and maybe they didn't, or maybe they had an early version or something like that, or I want to say a prototype, but an early release. I shoot a lot of double action, single action. I shoot a lot of revolvers. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with this trigger, and I'll do my best to, explain that. And again, we've got a clear and safe firearm, but the double action is about what I expect, right? And I'll just do the best I can with that, with kind of the angle, right? You're on it. It's heavy, but I expect that on a duty firearm, but it's smooth. There's no grit. There's no really weird take-up or stacking. There's a little bit of a stack there if you want it, but then it's right there. And then on the single action, it's back. Tactile, I hear that. Now here you get a little bit of take-up, and then there's a little bit more mush or take-up. I'm not sure you really saw that. And then take-up, and then a little bit more. But that's a kind of a little bit in the whole slow motion type of thing, right? You're loading it, rounds in the chamber, you're working the target. I think it all kinds of disappears, right? If I speed that up a little bit, I'm on it, and it just works double action. And then if I'm on it for single action there, and I'm back. I just don't see anything wrong with this trigger. In fact, I think it's pretty good. It is the Omega system trigger, which I think all or most of the CZs use now. I think the original P07 didn't, but as they went through their evolutions, eventually I think they got to the Omega system. So no problems there with the trigger, in my opinion. On to how it's shot. So generally it's shot very well. I mean, it's a pleasure to shoot. It's flat shooting. The recoil management is good, very good. And at first I went to the range and had no problems. I did 2 boxes or so of just target ammo, different manufacturers, no problems. That came back, cleaned, lubed it, and was so impressed with it. I was like, wow, this is just really hitting all the marks. This might really get into the carry rotation. And I don't actually normally do this because my SIGs and HKs, they just kind of eat everything, or even obviously some of the Glocks I own. But I went back and I did Federal HST 124 plus P and 147 grain. It didn't seem to have any trouble with 124 plus P. But I have to say, at 147 grain, I had several failure to feeds and kind of the ammo just diving into the ramp and not feeding up. Now, there's a video out there on this pistol with a gentleman and his wife. They seem to have similar problems. I saw a note this morning on Facebook, but I believe it was a P10, but I think it was a new one, and the gentleman was complaining about the same issue with ball ammo, with the ball ammo just kind of driving into the feed ramp. So I don't know what we have here yet. I don't know if we just have some teething problems. I'm certainly going to polish the ramp and start there, and obviously go back to the range, put a lot more target ammo through it, and work some more self-defense ammo through it. Obviously, if I continue to have trouble, then we'll be on the phone with CZ and we'll see what they say. But right now, again, it's just my personal experience along with a few things I've picked up on the internet. There's a bit of some shadow or teething, issue around this at the moment. I'm really, really hopeful we'll just get through it, come up with some solutions, and move on, because it seems like a great pistol from CZ. They just kind of hit it out of the park, in my opinion. Also, what you get from CZ, you get the traditional CZ black box, and I'll try not to hit the camera here, but it's always possible. Instruction manual through here, information there. You get the kind of these cleaning rods, a little cleaning kit, whatever you want to call it, which is a nice touch. You get a Allen wrench for the optic, and you get the kind of a snap cap, which I always find interesting. I had this on other CZs before. I guess they always come with them. Not quite sure. I mean, here I'd need some CZ experts to kind of kick in are the CZs more susceptible to problems on dry firing. I don't know the answer to that. Would love to hear the answer, but it's kind of cool that they provide those. I think I mentioned that you can go with a safety if you don't want the decocker, and they already give you the part, which is pretty cool. So if you want to flip that out. And then I mentioned the removable back straps, and you get 3. These are the medium and large versions. They have the same material on the back strap as the small, and just very nicely done, right? And great that they did that. But again, I found the small to be perfect for me. A little bit of a Goldilocks kind of fit there, in my opinion, for the pistol in my hand. So that's where we're at with this new CZ P09 C Nocturne. I'm still working that. Still working that name, Nocturne, but really, really well done, minus this particular teething problem I had with 147 grain and some of these other things like we just talked about. I hope it's not widespread. I hope it's not even worse, that people with all just target ammo are having this problem, but we'll see. And I'll probably wind up coming back and having to do a second update video, because I think that's fair to the pistols. So. But I hope you guys like that. I hope you found it informative. They're out there. You'll see them. Again, great price. It's really a great pistol. And so if you guys are looking for a double action, single action, I hope you check it out. But again, thanks for taking some time with us, and we'll see you again very, very soon on the Daily Defender.